Julio's in that time of his career where there's going to be some drop off. He's 32 years old. This is not Julio Jones that we saw in Super Bowl 51 against the Patriots, because he was in his prime a couple years ago when going up against the Patriots in that Super Bowl. He's coming off of a decent year with Atlanta, but it's just he is starting to get older compared to most NFL receivers. And when you look across the board, I think Julio Jones is still one of the best receivers that this game has to offer. So if any team has the assets to move for Julio Jones, I think it's worth trading for. However, though, for how long? How long are you going to be able to put him on the team, to keep him on the team for? I just don't know if it's really within these teams' best interest to sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal, just because I don't think he's going to provide great dividends or have a great return on the investment once he gets into those later years of the contract, because he's going to be in his mid-30s at that point. Granted, he is still a great red zone threat. He's one of the best receivers in the game currently. It's just he's 32 years old. Yeah, you're going to start seeing his production start to tail off a little bit. I'm not saying that he's going to just fall off a cliff. That's not going the Max Kellerman route here. I'm not saying that. It's just that I think what you're going to see is a small step down as the years progress. And honestly, I think probably by his mid-30s, maybe around 35, 36, I think he hangs it up. So I think these teams have to keep that in mind, is that, yes, granted, Julio is still one of the best receivers in the league. It's just that I don't think it's going to be that – I don't think it's going to be the case like that for 3-4 years down the road. I think teams have to consider that.
Yeah, I mean, again, we usually are on the same page. I agree completely. Julio Jones is 100%. When you hear the name Julio Jones, you automatically think of a guy jumping up in the end zone on a double team, Matt Ryan throwing a Hail Mary, the guy just soaring up above defenders and going and getting it, a guy that just runs great routes with great hands and is just a great playmaker. But when now you start to actually think about Julio Jones in recent years, you start to think about how many games has he missed, how many injuries has he had. At 32 years old, the man has not played a full season in God knows how long. Don't even get me started of his inconsistencies in fantasy. One game he'll have a total of like 50 yards, and the next game he goes off for $180 and 3 scores. So he's definitely not the most consistent player in the league in terms of productivity. And then you sit here and say, well, he's guaranteed another 3 years on his contract. So this upcoming season, he's due about $15 million. Next season, he's due 11, and the season after that, he's due another 11. So whoever trades for him is inheriting a pretty decent knot in terms of paying him out financially over the next 3 years. I will say that he does still draw first-round pick attention in terms of trade. His value is still there because of the potential of what he could be, but I don't know if I'm giving it. I know that Pat McAfee spoke about it today about, what if, what could the Colts do? Would they trade their number 21 overall pick for Julio Jones and some other considerations? I say, Pat, shut up, because we already have an injury-prone quarterback, an injury-prone number 1 wide receiver, an injury-prone second receiver in Paris Campbell, and an injury-prone backfield in Marlon Mack. So do we need another injury-prone player on this roster who we're going to pay another massive nugget to? Absolutely not. It sounds great on paper, but we all know that Julio Jones can't stay healthy for the life of him. So I say you stay far the fuck away from my team, because I have enough worrying on Sunday afternoons of who the hell else is going to come out of my game and say, well, shit, he's out for the next 3 or 4 weeks. He's out for the season. So no, thank you. But again, the upside of Julio Jones is insane.
Yeah.
Automatic double team, crazy playmaker, and like you said, an end zone threat. So competitive teams that can go out there that need a receiver, the New England Patriots, just have another massive weapon out there for Cam to throw to. Maybe the Carolina Panthers, they go out there and they pair up Julio Jones. I don't think they'll trade him inside the division, but I'm just saying in general, that would be nice. CMC, Sam Darnold, and the cap space that they're creating, who knows, maybe some draft picks and some capital will come available. They'll maybe draft a better offensive line, a better defense. Seattle, Russell Wilson gets another target. I know that it's not an offensive line, but I'm just spitballing teams here that are competitive. There are plenty of teams that could use the talents of a Julio Jones. Maybe even something that crossed my mind earlier, a wide receiver swap, Odell Beckham Jr. for Julio Jones. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just, creativity. Odell's younger. Odell may have a little bit, more of an upside because he's younger. But, Cleveland's in a win now mode. So maybe they want that aggressive, go up and get it kind of guy. So I don't know. But Julio Jones becoming available does create an interesting headline. It does create an interesting story before draft day coming up on Thursday. But Ian also did report the trade more than likely would not come until after June 1st, because I believe if he is traded or is not on the roster up until June 1st, Atlanta takes a massive cap hit, and they just cannot afford to take that hit and lose him at the same time. So we'll see what happens after June 1st, but him becoming available is an immediate, eye-drawing topic.
Did you know that he holds the NFL record for most yards per game?
Yeah, 95.3 or something like that. It's higher than Marvin Harrison. And the second is 85 point something with Jerry Rice.
You were close. It was a 95.3. It was 95.5. You were very close. Good on you. I know you were struggling with numbers before we started the episode, but you got that.
A little off.
Yeah, you got that one. That was a good one. But no, I think he's still got good years left, probably 2 to 3. It's just once he gets into those mid-30s, you could see some production drops here. That's just kind of how I see it. It's just, but
there's a potential out in the 2022 season. So after that, he could become a free agent of 2023, but there will have to be a dead cap hit of $7.5 million. So he can become a free agent a year early at the age of 34. So a team that trades for him would only have to pay him 2 years.
It's just, are we going to see him take the route that Larry Fitzgerald has taken the last couple of years, where maybe he can come up big in certain moments, or is he just going to retire from the game, leaving on a high note instead of maybe dragging it out a couple of years, playing, average NFL receiver type play?
What high note?
Atlanta
sucks.
It's tough. He's had a great career already. I mean, the guy has 850 receptions and almost 13,000 yards receiving. So
Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah, this guy deserves to be in a Hall of Fame with those numbers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like you said, is he going to go on a high note, or is he going to kind of meander into retirement like the way that Larry Fitzgerald has kind of taken that route the last couple of years? I would like to see him go out on a high note.